Are you trying to tell me that the RZA and Jizza are not Jewish brothers?
No. I was shocked too. So Crystal Dynamics just announced the voice actress for Tomb Raider. Camilla Luddington is her name. If you don't recognize that, it's because she's an actress and not a voice actress.
If you don't recognize that, it's because she's an actress who's been working for about a year and a half.
Yeah, she's done True Blood, or she will be doing True Blood. She's done Californication a little bit, but for the most part, she's kind of a B actress, I guess. She hasn't done any voice acting before.
She's young, though.
Which is what I find interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the voice actors that we like hear about that they promote are actors who are making that transition. It's not like famed voice actors finally lending their voice.
Which makes me wonder if the reason that they publicize this so much is because of all the backlash to the voice acting in the previous trailers and stuff that they've released. Because they're saying that she didn't do any of that. That was a stand-in actress, and now she's going to be doing everything.
That's so weird.
I feel like if they're trying to combat the backlash on the voice acting, they probably would have been pushing harder with somebody who has more of a reputation for, acting seriously.
Well, I mean, she's actually British, for one, which helps their case a lot because all the voice acting in the previous trailers was so obviously fake British, and it annoyed the shit out of me. But it also kind of brings up this new trend in video games of hiring like legitimate actresses and actors to do voices for your games, even if they don't have any voice acting experience.
Well, that's the thing, is they do have voice acting experience, but it is just acting with their bodies as well as
right, but it's a totally different process, I would imagine. I mean, actually, like
it's less. I mean, you don't have to spend any time in makeup.
No, but it also
blocking, but there still is the there's acting.
It also takes you out of it though, because like a character like Lara Croft is doing like a lot of action-oriented things. She's like always out of breath and panting and screaming and moaning and all sorts of weird sound effects. Like, how do you get in the mood for that when you're like in a giant green studio?
Acting.
You get directed. They're still emoting and stuff. I wonder, it is obviously the reboot of the franchise. So, assuming that the game, when it comes out, is a success and they make sequels, and I'm sure that they're going to want to reboot the movie franchise. Is this what they're thinking about? Are they thinking that down the road, this is a young actress, she's already gotten naked on camera before.
That's true, and she's attractive.
She's British. Is she going to be the new Angelina Jolie, the new Lara Croft on film?
Interesting. No. They could totally be setting her up for that, although I don't think that they would abandon Angelina Jolie for someone like her, especially without her like extensive film experience.
What are you talking about? Angelina Jolie is like 50 now.
She's 50, but
like
the woman
kids.
Still looks under 40.
She's a womb raider.
That's a pretty good one. We'll come back to that. but like it's not just her now. It's like you've got Ellen Page in David Cage's next game,
which he demoed very nicely by having her sit there.
And that's the weird thing, is that the character actually looks exactly like her too, which is another thing that's happening now. And I can't tell if this is to try to like draw people who maybe aren't into gaming into the game, or if it's to just kind of not take the player out of the game when they're inside it, because everybody knows
more of a tech demo. Interesting thing about David Cage's games is I played the portion of Heavy Rain I played it in French with the subtitles on, and it was like really didn't seem super hokey any more than like a French movie would. And it's like, because I don't speak French, I wasn't aware of the bad acting, and it's the same way.
Yeah. Oh,
same
interesting.
When
Assassin's Creed, right?
Everyone was telling me. I was complaining about the voice acting, and I was like, "This is like an Olive Garden commercial. Why am I playing this?" And they're like, "Dude, just put on the Italian subtitles and just."
Yeah, well, what's funny is if you talk to an actual native Italian speaker, they'll tell you that like the pronunciation in the game is shit. Like, look at Hamza, he speaks Farsi, and he says that all the military games that try to attempt it just fail horribly.
Yeah. I think the characters looking like actors is kind of, there's a distinction, there's kind of two camps. One is like the James Bond game where they're like, we got to make this dude look like Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Well, you get a licensed thing. I mean, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
And then the second one is like the LA Noire style, which is what they're doing with Beyond, which is, sit in a room with 150 cameras around you, and we're going to capture all of your movements. And it would just be extra work, and it would be, you know, detractive to try and like map those emotions and those movements onto like another model.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know?
You don't want to get two different people for the voice acting and the performance capture.
So here's a question. Looking forward, we've already started this trend. You know, I mean, it's part of the promotional cycle now, where it's like, okay, you announce the video game, you release screenshots, you release a trailer, you show some gameplay, and then like in kind of a middle space where there's not a lot to talk about while they're in crunch mode, let's announce all the famous voice actors that are participating in the video game.
But that only ever happens if the voice actors are famous.
I'm talking about like, no, for like AAA video games, like almost all of them are gonna have recognizable voice actors.
But almost all of them are sequels with reprising voice actors playing the roles.
No.
So a lot of the times,
true.
well, a lot of the times, like in like Mass Effect and Call of Duty, you get a lot of the people voicing the same roles. Like you don't expect anything to change there unless there's a new character.
Yeah, that's less what I'm talking about. I'm more talking about like new games that are kind of like, okay, we don't know who's going to be voicing these characters. They want to announce that, and they want to kind of build up some press around it. So are we moving towards a future that is much like the state of movies right now, where every movie poster, or most movie posters, are essentially a photo of like the two lead actors? Are we going to be seeing, you know, hey, I can't wait to play the new, you know, Paul Giamatti video game this fall?
Never.
The Semelian.
Never. God.
Never?
That's the worst. Man. No. That's I mean, maybe like decades and decades from now.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, video games, they come from drawing boards, they come from computers, they come from, I mean, the fact that we're getting attention being paid to directors of games at this point, it's taken like 30 years to reach that point.
Right.
And the fact is, the voice acting and like, maybe not the mocap, but like the kind of personality side of things is one of the last things you throw in there. That's not really so much a thing that
I disagree. I feel like
Tara, movies, they come from theater. Like, that is people on a stage being like that.
Understand that video games
are based on as toys. Like, they come from toys, and they come from pen and paper shit. Like, they come from the opposite of human things.
But there will always be humans in video games, and as long as video games and film continue to converge the way that they have, and video games become more realistic and more trying to imitate film, I can see actors becoming a much more crucial component of the actual like development process. And not just the development process, but the publication process, or whatever you call it, the PR process.
Yeah, and you're also talking about these games that like we as gamers are very excited about. And although you know Black Ops 2 is going to make more money than any movie has ever made before, but there's a whole audience that is not interested in playing video games right now. You know, there's still a stigma attached to that. And so I wonder, like, when we get to a point where you can play like amazing, rich, 3D games inside a browser, like, how much does Facebook want to be like, hey guys, look for that new Selena Gomez video game coming this fall?
Hey man, I heard a rumor that Edward Norton was going to be in a Zynga game.
Are you
I'm
serious?
not even making that up. I hear he's homies with Mark Pincus.
Can he get me in there? Because I'd love to do some farming voices.
You don't want to be in Zynga.
Does Farmville have voices?
Fuck it, does now. I'm offering my services.
Well, you've offered a lot of things.
I'm from Texas. I know a thing or two about farming, my friend. Don't try to fight me on this. Undeniable fact. Also, I play a lot of farming simulators.
I don't think Texas has like the most like.
It's all farms.
Like, is it?
Yeah, it's all farming culture.
I think it's ranch culture, right?
That's the same thing.
I think
no, it's not. Because farming is growing vegetables, and ranch is that shit you dip them in. Americans are fat.